What's up everyone, Terraquake here, and I'm back with another Pokemon Challenge video. Pokemon Diamond with only one shield on was easier than I thought it would be, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't tough. However, it's not going to get any easier in this challenge run. Today, I'm going to figure out if you can beat Pokemon Yellow without any free healing. Now, you might be wondering, what does no free healing mean? Well, it means that I can't use the Pokemon Center, my mom, or any other free healing spots in the game. I know in later games, if you put a Pokemon in the PC, it gets fully healed, but in Generation 1, I don't think that's the case. However, if I do put a Pokemon in the PC, I probably won't take it out again, so it doesn't matter too much. To be honest, I don't know what major challenges I'm going to run into. I'm assuming that most of the game will be hard, considering that I have no way to restore my health and PP unless I use potions, ethers, etc. And anytime that I'm grinding a single Pokemon, I'll probably have to switch train it so that I don't waste any PP. I really don't have any strategies planned out for this run, so I'm sort of just winging it and coming up with strategies as I go. Anyways, time for the rules. Like I said earlier, I cannot heal at any free healing spots in the game, which includes the Pokemon Center, my mom, etc. This also means that I can't white out at any point during this run, because if you white out, you automatically get healed up at the Pokemon Center. No items in battle, only Pokeballs, held items, and items outside of battle are allowed. I'm not allowing myself to use legendary Pokemon, since that would just be too easy. And lastly, I cannot use any glitches or exploits. I'm really excited to see how this challenge goes, since it's my first time doing this type of challenge, so let's begin. I started off by calling my rival Gary, because why not? Professor Oak then caught a Pikachu, which ended up becoming my first team member. I then proceeded to call it Sparky. This name is actually a reference to the Pokemon anime, so let me know if you get it. Also, most of my Pokemon that I catch will be a reference to the anime, because I'm just not good with coming up with nicknames. The first rival fight was pretty easy, as my boy Sparky dominated Gary's Eevee with a few Thunder Shocks. Alright, time to explain my strategy for the first gym. I went ahead and caught a Nidoran male, since it gets double kick at level 12, and that will be super effective against Brock's rock types. However, I don't want to waste PP with him, so I caught a Pidgey, named it Orville, and used it to switch train. However, I could only battle Metapods. This is because any other Pokemon that I battle could hit me with an attacking move. As you guys probably know, Metapod can only use Harden, so it couldn't put any damage on me. After getting Ralph to level 13, here's my team. Orville is completely out of attacking moves, and Pikachu is almost out of Thunder Shocks. I also want to mention that I had another Pidgey and a Rattata die while I was grinding. I have a feeling that this gym battle could take a few attempts. Never mind, I actually managed to win this battle on my first attempt. I got a critical double kick on Geodude, so after taking a weak tackle, another double kick finished it off. Onix was out last, and it used Screech, but luckily Onix decided to only use Tackle, and then Bide, so 2 double kicks and 2 tackles killed it. After brutally making my way through Victory Road, Ralph became a Nidoking, and it was time for another rival fight. A Water Gun and Horn Attack killed Spearow, another Water Gun one-shot Sandshrew, Rattata died to a single Horn Attack, and Eevee went down in 2 Horn Attacks. By the way, I had to use an Ether on Horn Attack for this battle, since my PP was already that low. Time for Misty. Every time Staryu used Tackle, I just got some health back with Absorb from Oddish. I guess Misty got annoyed by that, because she started to use X-Defense. Anyways, Starmie was out next. I decided to poison it first, and then use Absorb. Starmie definitely could have taken me down, but Misty decided to raise its defenses instead, so I managed to kill it. I only won that battle because of horrible AI. On the SSAN, Gary challenged me to another battle. 2 body slams from Richie took down Spearow, and Rattata suffered the same fate. I switched to Ralph for a Sandshrew, and I killed it with a Seismic Toss and Bubble Beam. Last I was Eevee, but 2 Bubble Beams and a Seismic Toss did the trick. I've always found it dumb that in Pokemon Yellow, Lieutenant Surge only has 1 Raichu. Anyways, my first attempt at this fight was a failure. Raichu used Growl, so when I used Dig, it didn't do that much damage. Raichu then proceeded to get a critical Thunderbolt, which killed Charmeleon. and I don't want my boy Richie to die, so I just forfeited the battle. On my second attempt, Raichu didn't use Growl, and he also didn't get a critical Thunderbolt, so I managed to take him down with 2 digs. Let me just tell you, so far, this challenge has been my hardest one yet. In the Pokemon Tower, Gary was ready for yet another battle. Fearow wasted its time using Leer and Mirror Move, so a few bites and bubbles from Wartortle took it down. I switched over to Richie for Magnemite, and the best thing that it could use was Tackle, so eventually, I killed Magnemite with some cuts and rages. Shelter got one-shot by a Thunderbolt, and Sandshrew died in 2 thrashes from Ralph. Last up was Eevee, and I decided to use my last Body Slam with Charmeleon, but then Eevee got a critical Quick Attack. However, due to some terrible move choices by Gary, I held on to win the fight with Rage. Charmeleon definitely should have died right there. After watching an idiot drop the lift key on the ground for me to pick up, it was time for Giovanni. Since I was switch training Gloom, I had to waste a turn going to Wartortle for his Onix. It only used Rage, so a single Water Gun killed Onix. Rhyhorn also got one-shot by a Water Gun, so Persian was out last. After switching to Gloom for the EXP, I went to Charmeleon. However, Persian was doing some good damage to me, and my cuts were barely doing anything, so I switched to Ralph. I used Thrash, but then Persian got a critical bite, which brought me to 16 HP. However, Giovanni used a Guard Specs on his next turn, so I actually won the battle. Jeez, this AI has just been laughable. Let's just say that my first go at Erica was terrible. I don't have any Fire-type moves on Charmeleon, so my only super effective move is Ice Beam on Wartortle, but he's weak to Grass types. I need to get some really good luck if I'm going to win this fight. Finally, on what was at least my 20th attempt, I got this run. It only took 2 turns for me to land a Horn Drill on Tangela, so Weepinbell was up next. I went to Wartortle, and I got extremely lucky. Weepinbell missed a Stun Spore as I hit it with an Ice Beam. I then outsped it on my next turn, and due to a critical hit, I managed to kill Weepinbell. Last out was Gloom, and I got off another Ice Beam before Wartortle went down to a Petal Dance. I went out to Richie, and since Gloom got locked into Petal Dance, it wasn't able to do too much damage to me, so a few Mega Punches won us the battle. In the Safari Zone, I had to walk into a random stranger's house that is in the very back. Yeah, that's not sketchy at all. Anyways, time for Koga. I started with my extremely underleveled Kadabra, but it was able to take out the first Venonat after getting hit by a powerful tackle. I also managed to take down Koga's second Venonat with 2 Psychics because he decided to use Toxic. I was able to get off one last Confusion on the third Venonat before going down, so I switched to Ralph. I hit it with a Strength, and then Venonat did a ton of damage to me with Psychic before I finished it off with another Strength. Last out was Venomoth, but it outsped and killed Nidoking, so I went over to Wartortle. Ice Beam hardly did anything to Venomoth, and it easily killed me with 2 Psychics. Snorlax took a powerful Psychic, but due to some poor AI, I managed to get off some Strengths before dying. However, Richie came in and finished the job with a Swift. After that, I decided to head to Blaine's Gym first, since there was a ton of water types that I could catch. However, I completely forgot to heal Snorlax before this fight, so I was left with only 3 HP after Ninetales hit me with a Flamethrower. However, due to some more terrible AI and some amazing confusion luck, I managed to take it down with a few Surfs. Snorlax got off one more Surf before dying to Rapidash, so I switched to Ralph. Surf didn't do that much damage to Rapidash, and since I got stuck in Fire Spin, Nidoking did go down. I sent in my first Tentacool to finish it off with a Surf, so Arcanine was out last. I got off 2 Surfs before Arcanine took me down, but I just sent in my second Tentacool and killed it with another Surf. I know I've said this before, but I think Blaine has the worst AI ever. In the Silph Co, it was time for Rival Fivel. Sandslash went down in 2 Surfs from Ralph, so Cloyster was out next. I switched to Wartortle, and I started to spam Strengths. For some reason though, Cloyster kept on trying to confuse me, and since I got some pretty good confusion luck, I managed to take it down without too many problems. Magneton got taken out by a Strength, Surf, and Blizzard from Nidoking, so Kadabra is up next. I went over to Wartortle, who was able to get off a powerful Strength before getting one-shot by a Psybeam. PB&J also went down, but Mustard was able to come in and finish the job. Yeah, you can really tell that I started to just come up with random nicknames. Anyways, Flareon was out last, but 2 Surfs killed it. Right after that battle, I had to take on Giovanni. Nidorino went down to a Surf and Water Gun from Mustard, so Persian was up next. I switched to Ralph, who was able to get a critical hit with Surf, as Giovanni wasted his time using a Guard Spec. Another Surf and a Blizzard finished off Persian, and then Mustard proceeded to one-shot Rhyhorn and Nidoqueen. Dang, Giovanni do be looking kind of mad though after losing that fight. Well, time for Sabrina. All Abra did was use Flash, so after missing a couple of strengths with Charmeleon, I eventually took it down. Sabrina used an X-Defend on Kadabra, so my strengths from Wartortle were barely doing anything, and then she one-shot me with a Psychic. I sent in Mustard, who was able to get off a Toxic before getting brought down to 10 HP by a Psychic. But then Kadabra decided to use dumb moves like Kinesis, so I managed to kill it. Last I was Alakazam, and I got off one more Surf before dying. I went over to Richie, but Sabrina used another X-Defend and a Reflect, so my strengths were doing nothing, and Charmeleon eventually went down. Luckily though, Ralph came in and finished the job with 3 Earthquakes. And just like that, we're fighting Giovanni again. Dugtrio started out the battle by landing a Fissure, which killed Wartortle. That's just my luck. Anyways, Mustard came in and killed it with a Surf, so Persian was out next. After it got 5 hits in with Fury Swipes, Giovanni used a Guard Spec, so I still managed to kill Persian with 2 Surfs. Nidoqueen got one-shot by a Surf, and Nidoking almost got one-shot, but then he finished off Tentacool with a Thunder. My other Tentacool also died to a Thunder, but then my other Tentacool came in and killed Nidoking with a Water Gun, because Giovanni used yet another Guard Spec. Anyways, Rhydon was out last, but one Surf finished it off. Giovanni must have an addiction to Guard Specs or something, man, because this is just crazy. Before heading to Victory Road, I had to battle Gary again. However, I can't beat him right now. I can get by his Sandslash pretty easily, but his Execute, Cloyster, and Magneton are so tough to take down. On my best attempt, I only managed to get to his Kadabra, which isn't even his last Pokemon. I think that I need to add some new members to my team. Finally, with a newly added Raticate and Muck, I managed to get to Kadabra with more than half of my team remaining, and due to some poor move choices by Gary, I took down Kadabra with a few Hyper Fangs from Raticate. Flareon was out last, and it was able to one-shot Raticate and Muck with Flamethrower, but Tentacruel came in and won the battle with 2 Surfs. After a lot of trial and error, I realized that there's no way I'm beating the Elite Four with my current team. So, I did the only thing that I could do. I caught a random Nidoran, dumped it in the daycare, and biked up and down Cycling Road until it was a level 71 Nidoking. Call this strategy cheap if you want to, but with the amount of money that I have, I can't do any grinding whatsoever, and technically, this is still within the rules that I set for myself, so it's not like I failed the challenge. Anyways, let's do this. First up was Lorelei, the Ice-type Master. Dugong went down with 2 double kicks, but not before it hit me with a powerful Bubble Beam. Cloyster was out next, and it brought me to 53 HP before I managed to kill it with 2 more double kicks. All Slowbro did was raise its defense, so after I got a critical strength, Slowbro went down. After nearly killing Jinx with a strength, Lorelei somehow predicted that, and she used a super potion. Anyways, another strength finished it off. Last I was Lapras, and I got off one last double kick before dying to a Blizzard. However, I sent in Mustard, who was able to get off a Toxic, and due to some pretty good confusion luck, I was able to win the fight with a few Water Guns. Next up was Bruno, the Fighting-type Master. His first Onix got one-shot by a Surf, so Hitmonchan was out next. 2 strengths took it down, Hitmonlee died to a Strength and a Poison Sting, and Bruno's second Onix got one-shot by a Surf. Last out was Machamp, and even though it brought me down to 57 HP, I still killed it with 2 Surfs and a Poison Sting. Well, that battle was easy. The third Elite Four member was Agatha, the Ghost-type Master. Her first Gengar only used Lick, so 3 Surfs killed it. After Golbat confused me, I managed to fight through the confusion to take it down with 2 strengths. Haunter didn't do too much damage to me, so 3 Surfs took it down. Arbok died in 2 strengths, so Agatha's second Gengar was out last. Luckily, Agatha was pretty dumb, and she decided to use Dream Eater, even though I wasn't asleep, so 3 Surfs and a Poison Sting won us the battle. That fight took me way too many attempts. The last Elite Four member was Lance, the Dragon-type Master. Gyarados got one shot by a Thunder, so Lance's first Dragonair was up next. 2 strengths easily killed it, and 2 more strengths took down Lance's second Dragonair, so Aerodactyl was out next, but a single Surf one-shot it. Last out was Dragonite, and even though it brought me down to 13 HP, I must have gotten a very high roll on my second Thunder, because I took it down with 2 of them. Alright, there's only one battle remaining. Time for Gary, the champion. One Surf took down Sandslash, so Alakazam was out next. However, instead of using a super effective Psychic type move on me, Gary decided to use a full Restore, so I managed to take it down with a couple of strengths. I got off 1 strength on Exeggutor, but then it used a Leech Seed, so I switched to Mustard. It also Leech Seeded Tentacruel, but I was able to set up a Toxic, and since Exeggutor kept on trying to put me to sleep, the Toxic eventually whittled it down and killed it. 2 Surfs and a Strength killed Magneton, so Cloyster was up next. I landed a Thunder to one-shot it, and then Flareon got 2-shot by Surf, making us the new champions of the Kanto region without ever healing for free. So, even though I had to use a weird, you could even call it cheap strategy, I still managed to beat Pokemon Yellow with all of the rules that I set for myself. Like I said, there was no way that I was beating the Elite Four with my team that I used throughout the game, because I couldn't grind, because I didn't have enough money for healing items, and I didn't have enough PP restoring items either. Anyways, for my next challenge, I've got a fun one planned for Pokemon Emerald. As always, feel free to leave any other challenge suggestions that you might have in the comment section below. And, if you want to see more of my challenge runs, then check out the playlist that I left a link to in the description. For now though, if you guys did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell to see more. And, until next time, deuces!